Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I am Carla Harris, and I want to welcome you to the Gathering of Women. I'm a badass and I'm only human women's retreat speaker spotlight. This is Carla Harris. I'm the founder and host, and our retreat is taking place March 15th through 17th. We are 100 or so days away from the retreat, and we are super, super excited. So, what is the Gathering of Women's Retreat? It is an opportunity for women to celebrate themselves, an opportunity for them to simply just woosah. We do so much for others, but how often do we really take the time to focus on ourselves and our needs? And that's what this retreat is all about. So we are giving you permission, ladies, to celebrate yourself, to woosah, and to enjoy some time on the beach. And during today's speaker spotlight, we have someone who is going to help you celebrate all of your badassery. Today's speaker spotlight focuses on our dynamic badass speaker, Pilates instructor extraordinaire, Kalyn James. She will be teaching our Sunrise Pilates that's going to take place on the Saturday during our retreat. And it will be at 6 a.m. on the beach. So make sure you get registered and then you click yes that you will be taking part in the Pilates class. So Kalyn is a graduate of the Equinox Pilates Institute. She is also the founder and CEO of Lit Pilates, where she is currently a private Pilates instructor. And her personal task, is to create life-changing Pilates programs for her clients. She also served as the first African American MC of the Pilates Method Alliance's 2022 International Pilates Conference that took place in Las Vegas, Nevada. She's also taught Pilates in Seoul, Korea for the Korean Pilates Association. And not only does she want you to look fabulous, she wants the community to look fabulous as well. And she cares so much about the community that she teaches Pilates at the Center for Family and Child Enrichment, which is a local nonprofit here in Miami Gardens, Florida. So without further ado, let's welcome Kalyn James. Hey,
Hello.
Kalyn,
Hi, Carla.
how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. It's beautiful weather in
Wonderful.
Miami.
Oh, I know. It was like 55 degrees. That's really winter for us here.
It is.
So, happy holidays to you. I see your lovely decorations.
Thank you. I'm in the mood.
Yes, yes. So, today is a little bit different, folks. We're going to have a quick conversation with Kalyn, and then after that, she's going to give us a bit of a demo about Pilates, what's going to be expected on the beach. But let's talk a little bit about Pilates. I think there are some misnomers when it comes to Pilates and yoga, and now there's this new bar workout. So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, about Pilates and what the benefits are. And then I want you to go a little bit into your studio and why you decided to become a Pilates instructor.
Well, so I'm going to flip those questions and talk a little
Okay.
bit, about why I became a Pilates instructor. So I started dancing at the age of 9, and I feel like I've been doing Pilates all of my life because those modalities are very similar. Pilates is all about control. It was called Contrology when it was founded by Joseph Pilates. Dance is about control. It has choreography, and so does Pilates. So it felt very natural for me to go from being a professional dancer into Pilates in the wellness space. I had taught group fitness, bar that you mentioned, and
Mhm.
HIIT classes and interval training classes when I was in college. And when I found Pilates, I really found that it was just so easy for me to do, and it felt great, especially as I age. I turned 52 this year, and now the things that I need for my body aren't the same things that I needed when I was teaching the interval training classes, and lifting heavy weights and dripping with sweat and jumping up and down and doing burpees. I find that the things needed to keep my body fine tuned are exactly what I found in Pilates. And through this life changing exercise modality, and it really is life changing, I'm helping
Mhm.
people reconnect to their bodies, or for those who are already connected to their bodies, to dive deeper into their bodies in terms of using the small muscles to support the large muscle groups, and also to strengthen the core, increase the flexibility. So I love seeing people make progress through this exercise modality. And I'm very passionate about, everyone, everybody, not everybody, but every single
Mhm.
body being able to take advantage of this life-changing work. So really, I worked full time for other people and organizations, and finally, when I found Pilates, I was able to stop using my talents to help other people, which, I mean, I still help people sometimes, as a full-time employee for other people, and then to fulfill my dream and to walk in the footsteps of my grandparents from Mobile, Alabama, and become a business owner. So now, I'm loving it. I cry in here in this studio with my students with happy tears, when people say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that this is my body, that I'm doing this." So it's just been a joy.
Yeah, yeah. I've learned over the past couple of years how beneficial Pilates is to the body, and I think it's been really wonderful to break or shatter some of those myths about who can do Pilates, who Pilates is for. There are people who think it's only about the mat, don't really understand what the equipment looks like. And I actually want you to talk through. We do have a video of Kalyn on the machine, so I'll let her talk about that. But before we do that, there's also confusion about Pilates and yoga. So, can you talk a little bit about what those differences are? And I also believe you're a yoga instructor as well.
No, I'm not yet, but I am
Not
interested
yet.
in getting. Yes, yes, I
I'm
actually.
speaking that into your future, Kalyn.
I appreciate that. I want to manifest that. So that's a sign to me that I'm on the right track, because I met this yogi in Jamaica, and she talked about Costa Rica, and I really want to go there and get my certification for yoga, because the two have some synergies, and yoga is of course more popular, but they are different. And the way that they are different is, well, I'll talk about the way that they're similar. They're
Okay.
similar in that they're both practices, right? So you hear people talk about their yoga practice. You start as a beginner yogi, you learn how to modify the moves, and then as you get stronger or more flexible or more confident, you build on those things and you sort of go to the next level. You see some people who can barely touch their toes, and then you see pictures of the girls who are like wrapped up like a pretzel, standing upside down on their head, or balancing on two arms. So you have to start at the beginning to get to that level. And that's the same way with Pilates. When you begin Pilates, it's very conceptual, it's very cerebral, this work. It's not just going into a gym and doing squats, although we'll talk a bit more about that later when you see me on the equipment. This is something that you have to understand the concepts. You have to use the mind body connection to tell your mind, this is how I pull my navel in, or this is how I pull my shoulders away from my ears. And people think that that sounds easy, but when you're in it, it's a bit
Mhm.
more challenging than people realize. So you start with about 9 basic Pilates exercises, and then as you get stronger, because they don't get easier, but as you get stronger, you use those concepts to build and progress to the next level. Whereas it would take me probably about 15 minutes to do, as an advanced student, my beginner Pilates mat series. It would take me an hour to do my advanced mat series. That's just how many
Mhm.
more exercises. It's like it triples in the amount of time that it takes to perform all of those exercises and do them well. So that's the way they're similar. The way that they're different is that Pilates has equipment. We use apparatus or equipment. Some people, call it the machines. So I have reformer, which, I had my studio set up where I had all of this equipment visible, and I thought, oh, it would look so much better if I just cleared this out. I'm kind of sad I did now, but the reformer, which looks like a bed, if people aren't familiar with that, it goes lateral this way, has springs attached to it. That's one piece of equipment. The tower, which you'll see me using later, is another piece of equipment that's also called a Cadillac when it's in its full form, that has springs that more or less attach to hooks and loops and you. And also you have mat, there is bar, there's a piece of equipment called chair. There's a ladder barrel. So as I mentioned, there's lots of different pieces of equipment you can use
Mhm.
in Pilates that you don't use in yoga. And there is very much a core focus. You are focused on your core. The philosophy of Pilates is moving your appendages around a strong core. So there's a lot of core work, a lot of flexibility work, and to me it's a lot more fun than yoga. But that's just my opinion. Who am I?
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. So I want to just let's go into the video, and if you can talk us through. So I'm gonna put our video up. Um, so talk a little bit about what you're doing here.
This is the tower. And again, that's the piece of equipment I talked about that has like hooks and springs, and it's attached a little bit more to me than on just the machine. And I'm doing squats on that. So I'd like to make sure people understand that Pilates helps you do everything better. So if you are a so-called gym rat who likes to go to the gym and you want to press heavy weight, or you like squats, well, I'm using this piece of equipment to assist me with doing squats so I can go deeper. A person could never touch their bottom to the ground like that if they were holding weights on their back. And those
Mm,
pulses burn the thighs, and you add those little heel raises that I'm going to do, and you find that you can do bar-like exercises or squat, type gym exercises in Pilates. So that's just one of the exercises and apparatus that I use to help people go deeper into their strength and deeper into their practice.
So I also notice it looks like there's some sort of hydraulic or some spring that you're pulling down. Is that holding? I guess that's creating the resistance.
It is right there, is creating support. So that spring is actually attached to the top of the poles or the bars, and then it is hooked onto another bar that moves, which is where my hands are holding. And so what that's doing is supporting me as I go down, just enough support on that spring load to help me go down slowly, and just a little bit of resistance to help me come up. So again, it assists you, but you're still doing most of the work, but it lets you go deeper so that you get more effective movement, more efficient movement, and stronger muscles.
Hmm. So you talk about the core work, or and I mean, it's really clear to see that your body is straight. You're not bending forward. You're not bending backwards. And it looks like it's all lower body work, but your arms are getting a workout through this as well. Are they not?
They indeed are. Pilates focuses a lot on posture. If you'll notice what we call a plumb line, which is where my ear, my shoulder, my spine, and my hip, they're all in line. So that's your plumb line. That's your posture work. That's strengthening your back, but also strengthening your core by keeping it pulled in. Those arms, I'm actually a little bit on an incline. If you can see, I'm leaning back from that. So I've got a straight line from the edge of that bar all the way up to my shoulders. So my deltoids and my arms, and even my forearms and hands, because we need forearm and hand strength, are getting strengthened from holding on to that bar. So it is what I'm doing there. You're seeing a full body activation.
Wow. Just by doing what we normally think as squats.
Correct. Indeed. And
Wow.
that's the thing I love about Pilates. People think, oh, it's yoga, it's just stretching. I get that all the time. Oh, that's that stretching stuff, right? It is not just stretching. It moves you in every plane, front, back, side to side, even upside down. There are exercises we have where you're upside down and pushing the bar up. So there's just a myriad of things that you can do, and it's low impact. So I try to remind people, I love to remind people that this work meets you where you are. Maybe someone who came to my studio could not perform this deep squat. Maybe they have issues with their knees. In my private studio, I can modify all of this movement to meet the person where they are. If you can't touch your toes, we will touch your knees. If you cannot do a sit up, we'll take a little ball, and I've got my ball right here, and we'll slide it underneath your neck and support your head until you can get to that point. And we use repetition, slow controlled movement to build you up until you start to feel more confident, feel stronger, and then we just keep moving that finish line, I call it, or dangling the carrot a little bit farther each time, so people continue to progress until eventually they're going upside down.
Yeah, one more thing. So you're moving very methodically. What I have seen in the gym is that people get on and they go up and down, up and down, up and down. And I mean, that can't possibly be good for your body. I mean, having controlled, as in contrology, right? Having
Right.
those controlled motions must be even more beneficial to your muscle development than going so quickly.
Indeed. And, I'm so glad that you have knowledge of Pilates, because that's really a great statement. It is all about being in control. When you see the gym rats, and I, love gym rats. I don't have anything against them. I love going to the gym, so no shade there. But sometimes, yes, you're putting that extra stress and pressure on your joints. You are moving with so much force that you are bypassing the small muscle groups and really just working the big muscle groups. Now, I mean, everything is going to work, but with this work and this control, it's true. We take the time to really get the most efficient and effective movement, which means that we can do fewer repetitions and still get more efficient results than if you're just in there like pumping things out. And also, we have a less risk of injury when we are moving with control. So and it makes it so much more difficult. I get some of those big guys in there, and I have them do some of the Pilates, and they are literally shaking like a leaf. And they can't even hold up the muscle that they've created because those smaller muscles aren't there. So it's beautiful work, and again, everybody benefits from it. If you play tennis, it can make you stronger. If you play basketball, football, if you literally just sit at your desk all day and work at a computer, we can work to make sure that the spine stays strong. Whatever it is that you do, and I mean whatever it is that you do, ladies, you know what I'm talking about? Even that is benefits from Pilates. A little stamina and a little flexibility never hurt anybody in the boudoir.
Never, look, that's some pajama talk right there at the retreat. There we go.
That part.
So I know we obviously are not going to have the apparatus on the beach. So today you're going to show us a bit about what we can expect on the beach. So now you're going to move over to your mat, and
Indeed. And how much time do I have, Carla?
I would say we got about 5 or 6 minutes.
Okay, great. All right. So, like I mentioned, here's my handy dandy mat. And this is what we'll be using at our sunrise session. And in a group setting, it's a little bit more difficult for me to get that absolute hands on correction with everyone. So, it's a bit more generic, but I use the principles of Pilates to set people up for success in doing this movement. So, we would literally start on our mat, seated, curling down backwards to the mat. And some people can't do this. They can place their elbows down and just lie down. We pull the heels into the seat, the collarbones open, and we do that because we want to stretch the pectoral muscles. When people are seated all day, and I'm going to come back up for just a second, whether you're driving, right, or you're texting, or you're typing on the computer, I find that people are always in forward flexion. So one of the main things I get when people come is a slouch. And I spend a lot of time getting them to lift up and grow tall. I tell them things like feel like the top of your head could touch the ceiling. But one of the things I tell them is to open the collarbones. And I know I'm a little bit far away from the camera, and that's very subtle, but you just want those collarbones to be able to open. That strengthens your back and stretches those muscles that have gotten weak and tight and turned off by being in this forward flexion position. So I find that that's easier to get on the floor when people can keep their back flat and open those collarbones out. We'll pull our knees up to tabletop, and I know I might be mentioning some things that people have never heard of, but the things are visually, just like the words we use. If you think of a little table, you could sit a cup of coffee up there on my shins. That's what we do, and squeeze those legs together. One of the things I like to do, just toe taps. People would be surprised how difficult this is because the whole time I'm moving my legs, I'm drawing my navel into my spine and ensuring that my back doesn't pop up. So I'm going to kind of exaggerate this. I can stick my whole hand under my back here. I'm doing a little tap. So that is typically what happens when people don't know how to connect to their core. So we take this and we pull it in, drawing the navel down so that's connected. So with those collarbones open and arms pressed into the floor and back flat, we tap that leg out. And now you find that your core is doing this work to move the legs, then the back. So those are really, really wonderful ways to get people just tapped in to the movement. From there, we may do some curl ups, and this exercise is called the 100. So we raise our head and shoulders off the floor, and we hover the arms just off the floor. We start to pump the arms, and this pumping of the arms creates instability, and that instability challenges our core more than you would think. Now, I tell people to pretend they're holding a little plum or a grape underneath their chin, between their chin and chest, so that they can keep this curl down. A lot of people like to lay their head back like this because their upper abdominals aren't strong. And that's where that ball that I showed earlier comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
It helps people to curl up using these upper abs. Of course, I don't need that, but I always encourage people to keep their eyes on their thighs or keep their eyes on their belly button when they're doing this work. Now, the 100 is typically done with the legs out at 45 degrees, squeezing together. Of course, since I'm stronger, I can do that. It is difficult to talk and do it when my abs are pressing down, but people can either modify there or keep it out. So that is the 100. We either lower the legs all the way down, which again is something that I can do without too much stress on my back, or people who have been in tabletop would put those legs right down on the floor, the feet down. We straighten the legs and we raise the arms over the shoulder. This exercise is roll up. And I really like this one because it strengthens your core, but it also stretches the back of your legs. Now, this one is difficult for some people without much core strength. And I'm going to show you this full one first because it's going to bring me to a seated position. We take an inhale, squeeze the legs together, flex those feet hard, and we curl the head and shoulders off the floor. We round forward. This is where that delicious stretch comes in. My feet are flexed, so I'm getting a great deal of stretch behind those legs. My spine is round, so I'm stretching the spine, and then I can roll it all the way back. Now, I'm not just going to plop down, but like I'm unfurling a mat, I lay down my lower back, middle back, and upper back. So again, that's curling up and rounding forward and rolling all the way back. Now, I know you might be thinking, some people might say, I can't do that. Well, that's all right. If you can sit up, right, which we would do, take those feet and bend them, have them place their hands underneath their knees, round their spine into a C. I hope you can see that C. It goes from the tip of my
Mm-hmm.
afro down to my tailbone. And then they can just inhale and lean back so they have the support of those arms. This is called a half roll back. And then bring it forward. So everybody has something that they can do without feeling like they're going to be judged or feeling like they're going to fail. We can set everybody up for success, and that's exactly what's going to happen. From that roll up or half roll back, we would then do single leg circles. The legs would be straight once again. I'm pulling my ribs down, pulling my belly in, and trying to connect my back with the floor. I want to make a point though. Our spines are naturally curved. So they have, they're just naturally, they have lordosis and they have natural curves. So it might not get flat. Some people may not feel their back connected to the floor, but as long as they're pulling their belly button in to lengthen their spine. And also, we have a little treasure
Yeah.
in the trunk. So that can get in the way for some people, and that's all right. Those arms press into the floor. We raise our leg up to 90 degrees. Now, again, I'm flexible. I'm a dancer. I love to stretch that leg up. Some people may not be able to straighten their leg all the way, maybe due to inflexibility behind the leg or tight hamstring. So
Mm-hmm.
we could keep that knee bent just like that. The leg circles across the body, circles out and up. That would be the modified. And for some people, they might want to bend the knee because it might feel pressure on their spine. And again, they can still do that circle. But for the advanced people, they would keep both legs straight and do those circles. And we would reverse and do them each way, which is really fun. This looks easy, but it's really working your lower abdominals your hip flexor, and also your quadricep. And then we can scissor switch those legs, or if that's not accessible to people, I'll give them a modification. But again, we would do that same thing on the other side and reversing those as well.
Now I
And I'm gonna,
notice you're pointing your toes. So
mhm.
for the when you're straight like that, are your toes are pointed instead of flexed?
Well, that depends on the exercise. For instance,
Okay.
there's an exercise called side kicks. So that's a great segue. Side kicks is one of my favorites because most women, right, especially as we age, we start to get thicker around the hips and thighs. And
Hmm.
frankly, I welcome that because I've always been a rail my whole life. So I'm like, yeah, it's my thick girl season. Okay, but that's just me and my own personal journey. so, so with this one, my legs would be straight, but my feet are flexed as I
Mm.
lift them up and down. So it really depends on the exercise because for this exercise, I want to feel like there's energy shooting out of my heel so I create a natural resistance. You notice I'm not lifting my leg very high. I mean, as a
Mhm.
dancer, I can get my leg way up there, but that my hip just cracked. That's not the point of this exercise. The point of this exercise is to work the glute medius. It's the side of the glutes because our glute maximus really gets a lot of work anyway from just standing. So this one is very specific. And this burns so good when you're doing this exercise. And it helps to give you a natural BBL. It lifts the glutes, it lifts the bum, and really helps to tone the thighs and slim the thighs. So that's one of my favorite. And here we can even do inner thigh work. I grab my ankle. If that's not accessible to people, we just let them lay it down. And then that other leg is flexed and we're lifting it up and now getting that inner thigh work. So it tones the inside of the thighs as well. Inner thighs and outer thighs get work here. One of my favorites, and this one I love to show because people, they get intimidated by this one, but it's really not that hard, is rolling like a ball. And it's fun. It sounds fun. I mean, who wouldn't want to roll like a ball? Balls look like, I mean, that's always in play, right? We get to play with balls. But with this one, we round ourselves back into that C curve again and flex our feet off the floor. We roll back onto our shoulders, not our head, and we come back up and catch ourselves. This is so much harder than it looks. Some people just kind of go down and they bottom out. That's what I call it. And they just kind of go like, what happens now? But it's a big time core exercise that massages your back. And these are the modified ways that people can do that. This one I call roly poly because the weight of your feet help you come up. So that one's really fun. And I want to show another exercise or two if we have time that
We have time for one more.
okay, good, because those were core exercises, leg exercises. This one is an arm exercise, and it's called push up. But I'm gonna have to stand, so I hope that I have enough clearance. You may not, yeah, you can see my head there.
Yeah, yeah.
So with this one, the arms lift. We round down to the floor. We walk out to a plank. I want to make sure I don't get out of frame. And now, if it's accessible to those people who are really strong, they can do a full push up here. If it is not, then we have people who can modify and do the push up there. And if that's still not accessible, we can have people get on all fours and just bring their face down. And if that's hard, we can even extend one leg and just lift the leg and go halfway down. So I think it's really important for people to know that we're going to do these classical Pilates exercises. We are going to have fun. There will be no judgment. There is no competition. There is no comparison because we all know comparison is the thief of joy. And we are going to get in there and leave feeling successful, stronger, more flexible, and empowered because it's lit to be fit. And that's what Lit Pilates is all about.
Yes, I love that. I'm so excited. Hold on, let's see. We got some thumbs up, we got some applauses, we got some nice comments. This is going to be incredible. I am so excited. So, I have one more question before we wrap up. Now, if we're on the sand, doesn't the sand allow or create a different type of resistance?
It does. And sometimes in a good way and sometimes in a not so good way. So we are going
Mhm.
to be challenged and maybe a little bit helped. But the goal of us all being together, right, for the Boss Badassery is to build each other up and to have fun.
Yes.
And more than anything, I'm going to have some lit music. And I just want people to have fun. So you might get some sand in your ear or your crotch. I don't know, between your toes. But we won't ever stop moving. And we're going to have a bunch of fun and get lit.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to get lit on the beach at 6 o'clock in the morning, folks, doing some
Yes.
Pilates. This is going to be really great. Kalyn, thank you so much. I really appreciate your being here. And of course, ladies, not only is she lit Pilates, she's going to be our lit MC and really just be just, oh my gosh, I can't wait. I can't wait. And let me tell you, if you haven't seen her on stage with a mic in her hand, you ain't seen nothing yet. She's going to be fantastic. This is going to be really great. So,
Thank
a
you.
little bit about, I want to tell you about our retreat again. Remind you, we are in early bird phase. We're coming to the end of early bird, Kalyn. December 31st, 11:59 p.m. Early bird pricing ends. And you also can use code BADASS to receive 10% off of the registration. So we want to make sure that you definitely get your registration in before the end of December, just to take advantage of the least expensive cost to attend the retreat. So, Kalyn, I want you and I together to give women permission to be their own badass selves. It's your time to really give yourself permission to come. Take a moment, enjoy your time. Think about all the things you're going to do between now and New Year's Eve. You're going to buy gifts. You're going to go shopping. You're going to fix the house up. You're going to do so much stuff. Look, she's already ready. And you're going to be exhausted. Let's just be really clear. You're going to be exhausted. So this is a great opportunity. Buy yourself the retreat. Better yet, have whoever that boo is buy you the retreat and wrap it up and put it under the tree for yourself. So normally we don't do 2 speaker spotlights in a day, but this afternoon at 6 o'clock or this evening at 6, we're speaking to Carolyn Litton, who will be on Instagram Live with me at 6 p.m. So I hope you can hop on over to Instagram Live. But I just want to say, Kalyn, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of the retreat. I know this is a busy time with you, with Art Basel in town. But our retreat is March 15th through the 17th, 2024. It's at the phenomenal Pelican Grand Beach Resort right on Fort Lauderdale Beach. And again, this is an opportunity for you ladies to take care of yourself. It's time to hang your cape up, at least for the weekend. Kalyn, thank you again so much for being here. And I will hopefully see you somewhere around Miami. My brother's here in town, so I'm looking forward to letting him come down and take a look at some things. So thank you again. Have a wonderful
It's my
holiday.
pleasure. Thank you so very much. I'm so excited to be a part of this. I'm jumping on that badass code so I can get some tickets for some women that I love in my life so they can come
Yes.
and exhale with all of us.
Yes. And of course, if you are local, you need to go take a class with Kalyn right there. To book an appointment, go to litpilates.com and she will take care of you. I know she
Indeed.
will. So
And they
thank
can
you
follow
so
me
much.
at Lit Pilates as well on Instagram.
Yes, Lit Pilates on Instagram. And I think,
Mhm.
are you on the other platforms as well? You're all over
Yes,
the
I am.
place.
Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you at 6 p.m. on Instagram. Bye.
Bye, everybody.